my name's Fred. This company that I created is called Nerdmatics, and I basically build playback systems, MIDI-related backline, basically any kind of technology integration for artists. And so part of it is like finding new instruments, and if it's artists like Flume or ODESZA, when they're making a lot of their music, it's usually done with the things that most of us use, which is like a computer and a mouse and a keyboard. And then you're sequencing things, and then you're making like all this beautiful music, and then all of a sudden it's like, cool, we got a tour, and it's like, what are we gonna do? Because it's like, well, I can't bring my mouse and keyboard out there and perform, So when we first started with them, it was like all about like, well, let's cut up samples and let's put it on a keyboard, or let's put it on a drum pad. But then the thing about that is that it's kind of like you're taking this really exotic, cool sound and you're putting it on something that, everyone just has at home. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was kind of like, my thing when I talk to artists, I'm like, you don't want to perform and someone watches and they're just like, oh, I could go home right now and do this. You know what I mean? That's like a big like thing that I'm always just like, if you can just look at it, go home and do it yourself, then it's like, why'd you pay this money to be here? And so finding new MIDI controllers has kind of been my thing. And so that's why when this came across up on my feed, I was just kind of like, or like on my radar, I was kind of like, oh wow, this is like, something that looks really cool. And then it actually like does a lot. Being able to present people with an instrument that looks really awesome and you can perform with it is like huge. And then it also does everything that a standard MIDI controller would do, plus like the Z dimension and like, yeah, it's just really wild. They knew they wanted to play certain parts of songs, but we were still figuring it out. And then we kind of like built the controllers, and then we're like, okay. Yeah, like, so it was like kind of a more organic thing, because everything was kind of designed with that in mind, and not like, oh, it doesn't, we're just gonna like hit buttons, it doesn't matter what it looks like or what. They're just like, oh, that's cool, like let's figure out how to use it. And then building in like the little light shows and other things too was just kind of like, oh, we have this like really crazy screen that we can like send animations to, like, and then it's like, oh, why don't we do it then? So it's cool. Like, talk to anyone that does that professionally, and you're like, do you play the exact same notes every single night? They're like, no. Sometimes I throw in a little slide. Sometimes I throw more vibrato on this. Sometimes I do the inversion of this chord. And having better MIDI instruments is going to allow people to do that. Where, you know what I mean? It's because before it was kind of like, you have samples and that's all you can do. Like, you can't really do anything with them. But these, now you have like, just being able to bend and do like, using MPE. When I first started working for him, and he's like, okay, let's cut up some parts for me to play. I was like, cool. And I just kind of cut it up and put it on something. And then he was just like, all I did was chop it out, because I wasn't sure what he really wanted. And then he was like, well, I could have done this. He's like, I want you to make something that's like, somewhat more organic, instead of just like I hit a sample and it goes bam, and then it just cuts off. It's like I should be able to hold it and it should infinitely make noise, all these notes, and I should be able to like bend them, and I should be able to like, do slides and other things. So then that's why when we got this, we were kind of like, oh, cool, we can add a bunch of extra things of like, now when you hold the note, if you use like the X, it'll add like an audio effect in, or if you use this dimension, it adds this in. So maybe like, I don't know if, and then also, a lot of people might eventually start using this for the live MPE thing, but I just really like it for all the MIDI values that it's kicking off, and that I can just assign those to do different things in Ableton.